Welcome to our final session for the igniteCS application process. I'm Erin Cannon, and we have with us
Sloan Davis.
Hi, Sloan. So I guess it's just the two of us today. We really wanted to use this time to talk about the application as the deadline is approaching. This Friday, January 22nd, will be the end of the application deadline. So by midnight your time, wherever you are on Friday, is when you should submit your application. So, Sloan, maybe you can talk through a little bit for us about, again, we talked about this before, but a little bit about what makes a good application. What do you need to have with you prepared on Friday?
Absolutely. So the concrete details that we need to see for an igniteCS application are your committed group of student leaders, at least 5 individuals of your peers who are committed to designing and delivering your mentorship opportunity. Along with that, we need the name and contact information of your faculty advisor, the folk. Is that a singular word? The person who will be helping you design and implement your outreach, or simply the person who's going to be the connector between us, the igniteCS staff, and you, the students. That piece is particularly important for dispersing your funds. So that is something that you are not going to want to wait to get together until the last minute. And it is very important that your faculty advisor knows that they are being signed up as an igniteCS faculty advisor before the application is submitted. Along with that, we need to see your plans for getting into a partner school. That might be someone you already have aligned, or that might be someone that you're hoping to align with. We know that it can be hard to really establish a partner until you know for sure if you've been accepted for funding. So definitely give us your plans or your concrete contact for getting into the partner school. And then along with that, we also need to see your plans for instruction. What are you actually going to be teaching your students? How are you going to share your love of computer science with them and make it meaningful, impactful, and valuable for the students as well as for yourselves?
Excellent, thank you. And just one other thing to note, when you are filling out that application, we do ask for your Google affiliated account information, and that is so that we can put you on a special access list of funded programs if you do get funding. So that is an important thing to have for all of the mentors that you are planning on having as part of this program.
Absolutely.
So Sloan, once we have those applications, how are we on this side able to distinguish the good ones from, the ones that we are going to fund versus the ones that we are not going to fund? What distinguishes a good application and a quality, solid application from the rest?
Absolutely. So a good application is going to be clear and concise. We know that you have a million words to say about how awesome your outreach plan is. Unfortunately, we can't hear all of them at once. So we really want to see the meat of what you're trying to accomplish with your program in the application itself. We do not need room for, or I suppose we're not looking for justifications as to why you chose a partner school or the curriculum that you did, but we do need to see clear connections from conception to execution as to how all of those variables are important. There's a difference between saying this partner school has an attendance rate that is much lower than all the others in the county, so we're hoping that our program is going to entice students to come to school for the entire day. That's great. What we don't need to hear is the demographic background of that school, or perhaps the history of the programming language that you're choosing to teach your students. Clarity is really the most important thing, and along with that clarity is, like I mentioned, those clear explanations as to why you chose all of the components that you did.
How do I tell the difference between too much information and not enough information?
So not enough information looks like making gaps in your logic. If you say, we're going to be working with this partner school and teaching these materials, and here are the people who are going to help me, that's certainly clarity, but there's a difference between laying it all out on the table and spelling it out. And while we're looking for you to spell out the variables that you've chosen for your program, we're also not looking for an essay. So too much information looks like multiple paragraphs when we're asking for things like your budget justifications. Too little information looks like we're going to use our budget for food, or we're going to use our budget to buy robots. Which robots? How many? How do you plan to use them after your outreach program has ended? We need clear justifications as to why you're making your choices without a novel to back them all up.
What happens, or what is the time frame between when a student pushes that submit button and when they hear back?
So all of us on the back end, the igniteCS staff and the engineering education department at Google in general, we've all been hastily preparing for your applications, and we have things in place like a rubric, some approval committees who multiple eyes are going to be seeing the same applications to make sure that nothing's falling through the cracks and that we're really choosing comprehensive and impactful programs. And the turnaround on hearing about your funding decision should be just over a week. The submission date is January 22nd, and we're hoping for a turnaround date of February 1st for decisions on funded programs.
That said, if you don't hear back from us on February 1st or 2nd, don't panic. We will get back to you as soon as possible. As Sloan mentioned, we don't know yet how many applications we're going to be going through. So we are going to work our hardest to get you a decision quickly, but it might take a little bit of time. If you have any questions during that process, you can email us at ignitecs@google.com, and we're happy to answer. We have an audience question here. It says, we are finishing our application and about to submit it when 2 of my student leaders canceled. I don't know if I can find anyone else before January 22nd. What can I do?
So the first thing you can do is not panic. We know that January 22nd is Friday, and a lot of you are just returning to classes from holiday breaks, and things might be a little hectic. That being said, it sounds like you have a pretty well-planned or almost finished application. So, those clear, concise, and logical explanations, I'm sure, are already in place. So the first thing you can do is contact us. Like Erin mentioned, email us, ignitecs@google.com, and we're happy to give you some ideas as to other ways to contact students to get up to that number of at least 5 student leaders. That being said, just continue networking within your classes, within your department. See if there's maybe a department listserv so that you can email a group of students en masse all at once. And probably my favorite way to find interested students is to maybe go into one of your larger lectures in your department or other departments. Ask the professor if you can just step in for a quick 2-minute introduction, give a little bit of information about yourself, about igniteCS, and about what you hope your outreach program will accomplish. It's just an easy way to get in front of a lot of people, and you can maybe leave some information with that professor as to how those folks can contact you if they're interested.
I have nothing to add to that. That was a very thorough answer. And that's exactly the kind of answer we would want on our application.
Absolutely.
Okay, while we wait to see if there are more audience questions, I will ask another. What happens if I hear back that my application wasn't funded? What should I do?
The most important thing to remember is that a no is not a value judgment. I think Olga mentioned in one of our other Hangouts that a no is best seen as a not yet. So if you get a no from the igniteCS team as to whether your program will be funded, get in contact with us. We'd love to have a discussion about what might have been missing or what some of the other programs put in their applications that resulted in them being funded. It might not necessarily be that anything was lacking from yours or that it was unsatisfactory in any way. However, it's possible that other programs had a more holistic view, that they were approaching the problem of computer science mentorship in a unique way. So it's very important to remember that a no is not a value judgment on you or your program or any of the hard work that you've invested. Unfortunately, resources on our end are limited, and we can only accept so many programs. And that also is determined by the actual funding amounts that all of the applicants are asking for. So again, contact us. We'd love to talk with you about how you can improve your application for the coming application cycles. And yeah, I would also say that just because you're not funded by igniteCS doesn't mean that you can't deliver an impactful outreach program in your community. Continue talking with your community leaders, with your partner school, with your faculty advisor, and see how you can implement your program without Google's funding support.
That's right. Just because it doesn't say Google on your program doesn't mean that it's not a quality program.
Exactly.
I have another audience question. My college has an existing outreach effort to teach code.org materials in an after-school program. Can igniteCS funds be used for that outreach? Would we have to change our program?
So the short answer is yes, igniteCS funds can be used to supplement existing outreach programs, but there's some fine details in there that we would need to see in your application. Things like, if you do not currently have this funding, why is the funding necessary to continue or expand or enhance your existing outreach program? What is it that is going to change, or what is the value of your program, and how will that be enhanced by receiving funding and resources from igniteCS?
Yes, absolutely. We are happy to contribute to what you're already doing. Just as Sloan says, we just need to make sure that it is an enhancement and that there is a value add to what we are contributing. So just make sure that that's pretty clear. Okay, so while we wait for more audience questions, I would love if you could give a sense of what, for funded applicants, I know we keep saying additional resources, if you could give a sense of what those additional resources look like.
Absolutely. So one of the first resources would be information about instruction and other kind of curricular materials that you can include in your outreach. We have some ideas that perhaps you haven't thought of, or other materials that might supplement your existing plans for instruction. And so a list of those resources and fun places to find them or incorporate them into your outreach program will be available. We also have some information around pedagogy, or the methodology of teaching. How can you make your mentorship as impactful, as meaningful, as effective as possible? That includes things like, what do we do if I have a student with a lot of exposure to programming, but everyone else in the class has never seen it before? Another thing that we're really excited about is some actual mentorship opportunities for you, the mentors. For funded applications, there will be an opportunity to receive mentorship through a partnership that we have with MentorNet. And you, if you are interested, will have the ability to match directly with someone in the industry to receive some mentorship of your own. That can be mentorship about your outreach program. That can be mentorship for yourself as a student who's, on the path to entering the tech industry as well. And it's not just for tech industry or CS students. Those mentor opportunities will be available for folks of all disciplines. Aside from that, we have some resources that include how to design evaluations and effectively measure the impact of your program. Not only is that important for us to understand how your program is working and if there's any way that we can help you make it better, but it's important for you to see if there's maybe some things that you didn't think about, or if your students have something to share with you. It's important to be checking in at every stage to see if there's any way that you can tweak your program to meet the needs of your students.
Two things that I can think of.
Huh?
Two additional things that I can think of.
We have some marketing resources for contacting students within the partner schools, as well as students at your university to volunteer to mentor. And some more administrative materials, such as how to effectively manage volunteers and an outreach program in general. It's a little bit different from evaluating your program. It includes things like, how do I make sure we have enough people to do the task? How do we make sure that everybody has the right information so that nobody's feeling lost at sea?
Yeah. We will also be having, and I don't think this is a little bit of a cheat because I don't think you knew this yet, Sloan. We will also be having regular office hours where you can meet and discuss with someone from our team if you're having issues, if you have something to share, if you have questions about anything that has to do with the program or beyond. We will be having those regularly so that you can drop into to those times as well and meet with us. And then additionally, we will be providing swag for participants. So we don't know yet what it's going to be, but it'll be something fun for your mentors, and then also possibly something for the folks you're mentoring. I have another audience question here. How do I make sure that my volunteer mentors will actually come to the mentoring sessions in the partner school?
So that is something, and of course my lights are turning off.
We knew this might happen. That room has a habit of turning off the lights. Very rude.
So volunteer management, as I mentioned, is going to be one section of resources that you'll be receiving through the igniteCS website if your application is funded. And volunteer management is probably going to be one of the most unpredictable elements of your outreach. It's where you have a lot of variables. It's something that, you know, best of intentions, your mentor can be scheduled to come in on a Monday and get sick that Sunday night. So you've got 12 hours to figure out how to get another mentor into the school. What can you do? So there are a lot of ways that you can plan and manage the folks who will be helping you deliver your outreach. But one of the simplest ways is to just have a roster, a schedule, a place where your mentors can sign up for the days and times that they're available, as well as times that they might be able to supplement, you know, have kind of a reserve mentor in case somebody does call in sick. So the other thing is being really clear from the beginning with your mentors about the expectations. If you find out that you can't make it to a mentoring session, you need to let us know by this time in advance. You either are or are not responsible for finding another mentor, all kinds of things like that. So being clear from the beginning, having a clear schedule, and just general expectations for your mentors about what their role is in the classroom and how they're contributing to the program are really important to establish from the beginning.
I think that's excellent advice, and I would just add that it's never going to be seen as a negative thing for you to communicate with your partner. If you are having some issue on a specific day, making sure that, you know, mentors are coming or anything, having a continuous feedback loop with your partner is also going to help with some of that. If, you know, and as Sloan mentioned, things happen sometimes. So if there is a day that maybe nobody can show up because everybody got sick with the same food poisoning, you know, I'm sure if you already have that connection and that good rapport with your partner organization, they're going to understand that. So I realized as I have been reading my questions and clicking through these questions that with only 2 of us, it goes a lot faster.
It really does, yeah.
So I'm wondering if you can give some thoughts on what to do about the people in your group who aren't necessarily the leaders, but who are signing on to be mentors. How do you prepare them from application submission, you know, between application submission and funding decision?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you have folks who are not directly involved with planning your outreach, but who are going to be in the classroom mentoring and delivering the instructional material, if you have those folks already lined up and contacted, the most important thing to do is let them know the timeline that you're operating on. When are you going to get the funding decision? February 1st, and how long between February 1st and the first mentoring session, the first time that you're actually going to be in the partner school, or the first time that you'll be interacting with the partner school students if they're coming to you. What's the timeline between the funding decision and actually getting into the classroom? So a couple things to think about there is maybe establishing kind of a code of conduct or a volunteer handbook. It's very likely that those of you, the 5 to 10 student leaders who are doing all this fabulous work organizing your program, it's very probable that you are all on the same page, but that something might get lost in translation between you, the organization folks, and those who will be in the school mentoring. So it might be worth drafting a page. Think of it like a syllabus where you're communicating to the volunteers exactly what's expected of them, the materials that you'll be teaching, the schedule of, the first day in the classroom, the last day in the classroom, everything in between. If you don't have all of those details nailed down right now, you can just start working on a template to fill in with those details as they get established. But again, thinking as early as possible about what the volunteer's role is going to be and communicating that from the beginning is definitely the most important part.
Can you give a sense of what Google expects to get from igniteCS? Like what is Google expecting to get from me as a funded school or applicant along the way?
So the most important thing that we expect from you as a funded applicant is your dedication to your community and really ensuring that you and the folks that you're working with at the partner school are having the most meaningful experience possible. That's why we're having things like office hours, we're preparing resources for you. We are always available for you to talk to us and make sure that you're constantly delivering the best program possible. On top of that, we have a couple asks of you that we would strongly appreciate. At Google, we're a data-driven company, and in order to make sure that igniteCS is working as best as possible for our funded applicants, we have 3 surveys put together that we would love for you to complete at different periods throughout your program, just so that we can understand a little bit about you as a student, about the mentorship experience in general, and about the things that we as a company can put together to make sure that your outreach is going as smoothly as possible. So those 3 surveys will be distributed through the igniteCS website for funded applicants. The expectations around when they'll be coming out and when we expect you to complete them will be communicated after the funding decisions have been made. And aside from that, general asks are that you keep us updated if there is anything changing with your outreach program. It's important that you know that the application you submit is not set in stone. You might realize that you need to teach something a little bit differently, or that, instead of being in the school during the day, you'd prefer to go after school. That's fine. We're very flexible, and we trust that the decisions you are making are going to ensure the best experience for the partner school students and for your mentors. However, we do need to know about those changes as soon as possible. That for 2 reasons. One, we need to make sure that if we're preparing anything for you, that it's as accurate as possible. And 2, like I mentioned, we really like to make sure that we have accurate and consistent data so that we understand things like how many programs are working in middle schools, how many programs are teaching Scratch. So we just like to know those things as early as possible.
You keep using the word data, and that sounds scary. What are you going to know about me in particular?
Oh, those things. Data does sound like a big word. I don't need to know your blood pressure the last time you ate a salad. However, things that we'll be asking are questions like, mentorship is valuable to me. I enjoy being a mentor. We want to know a little bit about what you're learning as a student. Things like, I feel prepared to enter the tech industry, or I have mentored students in computer science before. We want to know if igniteCS is not only working for the partner school students, but for the university students. So learning a little bit about you and how much exposure you've had to things like computer science and mentorship in the past helps us know what kind of materials and other supplements we can provide you to make sure that you are confident in your outreach.
And just to add to that, we work with anonymous data. So just because you share something with us doesn't mean that we'll know your name or your email address or any of that. What we are looking at is from beginning of program through end of program, what attitudes have stayed the same, what have changed, where have we been able to help, where could we help a little bit more? Those are the things that are of interest to us. So don't worry about, well, you can worry about it, but we hope that you feel that you can understand that your privacy is our top priority and our top concern on our end as well. And I wanted to say one other thing, which is that we will also be asking for some sort of final report. It shouldn't be heavy weight at all, but just something so that we can hear, just as Sloan was saying, the changes that have happened in your program, how it evolved over the course of the program, what you learned, what you would do differently, and maybe something that would be worth sharing with future iterations of igniteCS participants. There's another audience question here. Are we responsible for the partner school students all the time? What if there's a fire in the school or students get in a fight?
Oh boy. Program management is such a fun basket of things. So that is a question that is very unique, and that depends program by program what sort of relationship you have with the partner school. In a scenario where you, the mentors, are in a classroom helping a teacher deliver his or her curriculum, certainly the responsibility for the partner school students resides on the partner school faculty, on that teacher. They'll know exactly what to do, follow any and all instructions that they might have, and be sure to consult with them before you advise the partner school students on any sort of emergency or behavioral issues that might arise. If you, the partner school, or if you, the university, are hosting the partner school students, you need to contact folks within your department and within the university administration to know if there's any waivers that need to be signed or other release forms that ensure the safety of the students you are working with. As far as things like, kind of behavioral issues, it's important to understand as a mentor that the students that you will be mentoring do see you as an authority figure. And there's a very unique line as a mentor between authority and friend. So while I would not recommend, I explicitly do not recommend anything like detentions or any sort of punishment that you might associate with a school, there's a difference between handing out punishment and talking with the students you're working with to ensure that they understand the kind of environment you're trying to build, which is one of collaboration, exploration, and just interacting with computer science.
Yeah, absolutely. And any partner organization that you work with, whether it's within your own department or in your local community, they're going to have things in place already around this. So just make sure that going into your mentoring opportunities, you have an understanding of that. Just ask up front what their policies are and what they have on hand so that you can feel prepared in that as well. Okay, so Sloan, I want to give you a little bit of time to just talk through anything that I haven't yet asked, things that I'm missing. What is important for students to know before Friday?
I think the thing that I would say is most important for folks to know before the application deadline, I think I've mentioned this once before, is that your program is not solidified when you submit the application. We understand that it's difficult to plan a program down to the last detail when you are unsure whether or not some of the materials you're including will have the resources, the monetary resources to be able to actually implement. So we understand that things might change. We understand that you might not have a direct partner school yet. That does not mean that your application will be looked upon any differently than folks who have all those details in line already. Other than that, I think the next most important thing to remember is that there's a reason why you're interested in igniteCS. communicate that to us in your application. Be honest, be candid, be yourself. That will shine through in the application. Your passion for computer science, for mentoring, for education in general will come through in your application. And if we're able to see that and have a little bit of that human context behind this rather anonymous and cold and reserved application, that will only give us more insight as to why this is important to you. And that's truly what we're looking for in these applications. Certainly we need to know the fine details like who, what, when, where, and why, but really the why is really a big motivator in whether or not we select applications for funding.
I think you bring up a really good point that we really do think of this on our end as a partnership between us and the funded igniteCS program. So we do want you to feel that it's not just, you submit, this isn't a test. It's not, there are no final answers on this. It's an iterative program, and we want to make sure that we are there to support you through it and that we're working together. So think of it that way as well.
Absolutely.
So I'm not seeing any more questions come through, which means that we get to have a short session today. Sloan, thank you very much. We will be posting the link to this, well, it doesn't matter, but we will be posting the link to this back to our calendar on our website, where you can also see the past Hangouts that we've done. Applications are due this Friday, as we mentioned. Any questions that you have, please reach out to us at ignitecs@google.com and let us know. We are happy to answer them. Any final words, Sloan?
Be confident, be you, show us why you love what you love, and man, we cannot wait to see your applications. We're really excited.
Thanks so much.